You chose this video for a reason, and I am so grateful that you did, so welcome or welcome back. It is very hard to stay present, but it is very possible. And I don't think that you can ever reach true happiness if you're living in your past or in your future. The moments that I have felt truly joyful is when I was genuinely living in my present moment, not thinking about what happened in my past or who I hurt, who hurt me, or not living in my future, being anxious about outcomes that I cannot control. So, being present, I feel like, is the key to being happy and content and accepting your life for what it is so that you can create new experiences in your life that you desire.
I'm learning a lot about the subconscious mind.
Being grateful is definitely one of the ways to stay present. And I never really understood what somebody meant when they said to practice gratitude. I always thought, like, of course I'd rather be in a home than be homeless. Of course I'd rather have food than not have food. But it was hard for me to understand what it meant to be grateful because I've never been homeless. I've never experienced that type of hardship, and it's very hard to appreciate what you have when you don't know what it feels like to not have it. I think being grateful really helps you stay present because you are deeply connected to the present moment and you are feeling joy that you are experiencing the present moment. For example, if I'm feeling grateful that I have food right in front of me, I am fully focused on the food. I am fully focused on the fact that I can eat the food, on the fact that there is food for me to eat. I am not thinking about the past or the future because I am thinking about my food. And that is a great practice because you're not thinking about anything else but the present. Nowadays, when I am at work or when I'm heading to work and I notice myself kind of getting annoyed or frustrated, any negative emotion, I ground myself for one, and two, I tell myself, I am so grateful that I get to go to work, that I'm healthy enough to go to work, that my legs can move myself to go to work. It's really about changing your mindset from I have to do this to I get to do this. That's really when you start becoming more grateful because instead of saying I have to go to work, it's I get to go to work. Instead of I have to cook, I get to cook. Or doing things like chores. It's like romanticizing daily tasks that are tedious and can be mundane, but be grateful that you even have the opportunity to do them. For example, when I am exercising, I tell myself that I'm grateful that I even get to move in this way. I'm grateful that my body works. I'm grateful that my legs can even move. I'm grateful how flexible I am. I'm grateful that my arms can lift over my head. Because there's people who don't have that or they can't do that. I need to be grateful for what I have because I don't know what it's like to not have those things, but I can imagine it can be very difficult. I try to express gratitude on a daily basis. It could just be even be in your head, every time that you sit down to eat a meal, just think, I'm grateful that I can even feed myself. I'm grateful that I have food right in front of me. I'm grateful for the people who cook this food, or for yourself if you cooked your own food. Be grateful that you can even sit down to eat, that you can lift a spoon to your face. There's so many things to be grateful for, and we take these things for granted because they come easy to us because we've never struggled with them before. Another example is if you've ever had a thought or an idea that you were proud of, thank yourself for that thought. Be appreciative that your mind works in that way. Everybody is different, and other people's minds don't work in the same way as yours. And that's something to be proud of. I used to struggle with feeling like, oh, I'm too deep. Oh, these people aren't like that. Or my friends, they're not like that. Why am I like this? And I felt very out of place. I felt very alone and isolated. But now I thank myself that I am this way. I thank the creator for making me this way, because I am able to see things from a different point of view that allows me to develop different ideas that may not be what is the normal to most people. And I'm so grateful for that, even if it has taken me a lot of years of feeling lonely or solitude. Another great way that I've been staying present lately is to analyze my thoughts. And this takes a certain level of self-awareness, but whenever I notice that I'm having a thought that doesn't evoke joy, I stop myself for one, and I analyze the thought, and I think about what I'm thinking about, basically. And I ask myself, does this thought bring me any joy? And most often, if I'm stopping myself and asking myself that question, it doesn't. So then I tell myself, why am I thinking about this? Thoughts that don't make you happy do not belong in your head. And it's kind of funny how we hold on to these thoughts so much. And, deep down, like, I know I can't change it. Like, if I'm thinking about my past, I know I can't change my past by thinking about it. I know thinking about it isn't going to do anything, but I think about it anyway. And it's like, why? I've really been thinking about how to stay present. And one big part of that is just to stop and look at your thoughts. And, if that thought doesn't make you happy, then don't think about it. It's kind of like, if somebody's telling you, like, oh, my arm hurts when I touch it right here, and has anybody told you don't touch it then? It's kind of like that, just don't think about things that don't make you happy. It sounds very easy, but it isn't when you actually put it into practice. Whenever I have those negative thoughts, or the thoughts about my past, or overthinking, or anxiety, any anxious thought, I tell myself, this isn't a happy thought, and then it goes away. And also, I want to point out too that the key to this is to not be mean to yourself. I struggled with this before because I was aware, and it made me almost mad at myself because I knew I was doing it, yet I couldn't stop. And part of the reason why I couldn't stop was because I was so hard on myself. Because if you were like trying to analyze your thoughts and you're like, dang, I did this again. Oh my God, I am so stupid. All this negative self-talk. How are you going to get better when you're battling negative thoughts with other negative thoughts? That's not going to work. And when we're hard on ourselves, that's a negative thought. That's bad self-talk. That's a bad habit. And it's not healthy. It's not good for you. It's not going to make you happy if you're excessively hard on yourself. So I just try to practice being very nice to myself. Almost like I want to relate it to if a kid is doing something that they're not supposed to do. You don't want to yell at them or scream at them or be very mean to them, because one, they may not know what they're doing is wrong, and they could be very confused, and that can be a very traumatic experience if they're being yelled at and they don't know why. So when you have a negative thought, treat it like it's a child. I sit down and I tell myself, what are you doing? Just ask yourself, what are you doing? And when you think about it and you're like, I'm thinking about this person or this event or this situation that isn't real, or this event that I can't change. And you stop and you think and you're like, why am I thinking? What am I doing? You're right. It's kind of like almost like your higher self has to step in and ask you, what are you doing? That's helped me a lot too, because I used to struggle with being hard on myself, and that is never a good way to stay present or be grateful or be happy. Analyzing my thoughts has been very helpful in helping me stay present, because I always kind of struggled with it. I never really knew what it meant to be present. I did, but I had no idea how to obtain it. And now that I am analyzing my thoughts more, looking at it as, why am I thinking about this? This doesn't make me happy. Just stop. Have you thought of not thinking about it? It's like, I never thought of that. It sounds so simple, but it's complicated because it requires such a great level of self-awareness. I've also been telling myself, the silly little saying where they're like, think happy thoughts, think happy thoughts. Yeah, it's like that. And it started out with, what are you doing? Then it went to, this thought doesn't bring me any happiness. And now whenever I have a negative thought, I'm like, not a happy thought, not a happy thought, like I just keep repeating that until it goes away. And it does. And I'm like, you're right, not a happy thought. Like, it's almost like I have programmed myself to step in when my other self is telling me things or reminding me things that I don't need to be reminded of. Another thing that has helped me stay present and not project any anger towards other people is to see them as myself. I have a belief that we go through different lifetimes to learn different lessons, and time doesn't exist. Time is just something that humans can conceptualize because it is the only thing that makes sense, and the concept of time not existing, we can't fully understand that. So I like to think of everybody as me on an alternate timeline. That person that is very angry and upset and is projecting their insecurities and their anger onto me, I don't take that personally because they are dealing with a sadness that I already got over. They're dealing with something that I can't see and something that I already learned because I'm not dealing with that anymore. So I look at them I try to look at them with love and understanding and acceptance that I don't know what you're going through, but it must be really hard for you to be acting like this, and I don't want to make this situation any worse by getting revenge or projecting that energy onto you. So I see things more from a passive and from a outsider's perspective, because everybody's doing their best with the consciousness that they have. If they could do better, they would do better, and eventually they will do better. And that is something that my mentor taught me, Susan Vaughn. I have other videos with her. But I love that because we're all doing our best. If we could, we would, but we can't. So, and that also loops back to the fact that we may have made plenty mistakes in our past, and we can look at it now and be like, oh my God, why did I do that? But we were doing the best we could, and we can't think back on it now and feel bad and feel dumb or what. We can't think about that now. We have to move on and be present, because when we are fully present, there's no need to look back. There's no need to look forward in anxiety and in anticipation and in nervousness. There's no need to hold on to anything, because who we are right now, we are happy with, and we are fully content with what we have right now. And we know that anything that we want or need will come to us, because we are our creators of our reality. So with that said, I hope that I inspired you to remain present, to see everybody as you see yourself, to love others, to be kind to others, to ground yourself, and to be grateful for the present moment and everything that you have. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.